time to walk away.
Max, get your TB12 supplements right now. Hot off the presses. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take on a Tuesday. Swagoo's in the building. Stephen A. Max, I'm Molly. Let's get it. You know where we are starting. Max, he will definitely consider playing past 45. Should that comment be taken seriously?
Yeah, it has to be taken seriously. He defied the cliff. Not only defied the cliff, but he's like walking on air right now. He doesn't need the ground beneath him, apparently. Look, there are athletes. The reason I made the cliff prediction in the first place is no one had ever played past their age 41 season as a really good quarterback, as a really good one. One had. Warren Moon, and he was done after that season. He wasn't good anymore. So, you know, like Testaverde threw a few passes at the age of 43 and a couple others, Doug Flutie, but they weren't really starting quarterbacks anymore, let alone great ones. Tom Brady has smashed the record. He's 43 years old. He's in the Super Bowl again. Yeah, he's on a loaded team, both sides of the ball, but there are some loaded teams on both sides of the ball that are not playing in the Super Bowl right now. His is. I don't think that's a coincidence. I had Tom House, his throwing coach, on the radio show, Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio, 2 p.m. Eastern, weekdays, by the way. I had him on yesterday, and Tom House was a relief pitcher in Major League Baseball in the 70s. He was pretty good. He wasn't amazing, but he was pretty good. And he's been a pitching coach in baseball and a throwing coach. He was a pitching coach for Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan was a guy like Tom Brady who defied the stats. Nolan Ryan was maybe the best pitcher in baseball at the age of 44. And he was still throwing at 46, and he would throw sometimes 200 pitches in a game, and he threw 100 miles an hour. It shouldn't have been, but he took care of himself. First of all, he was genetically freakish, but he also took care of himself in certain ways that Tom Brady, who shares his throwing coach, his pitching coach, also is taking care of himself. And Brady can no longer be compared to other football players as a guide to where he's going. I look at other athletes who are great at an amazingly old age, like Nolan Ryan, pitched when he was 46, like Bernard Hopkins, was beating world-class fighters at the age of 49. So it's a full contact sport, guys. Every play can be your last. But if Brady at this point is saying he would seriously consider playing past 45, then I have to take that seriously.
Well, the one thing we certainly do not have to do is take you seriously. We don't have to do that, okay? Because you see, I'm glad that Marcus is here on this segment with me and Molly as well, because the key thing to point out, Max Kellerman, you know how that cliff, which turned into the ravine that you sat on for 3 years, and Molly, you can co-sign this. Swagoo, you can co-sign this. It's one thing to acknowledge a whoops or an oops and that you were wrong. It's one thing to acknowledge that you were a bit premature or wrong about the cliff. But do you have any idea what level of unmitigated gall you must have to sit up here and start off First Take, Max Kellerman, giving us examples of people who actually defied the odds, who defied? You had 4 years to bring. Do you realize, Molly, correct me if I'm wrong, every single example, and Max, I'll give you credit where credit is due. Every single example you brought up is a damn good one. They're good ones. I'm just trying to figure out how the hell you ignored them for 4 years. That's where I'm blown away.
They weren't football players.
Yeah, hold on, Max. It's a rhetorical question. I'm not asking you to speak. A simple nod of affirmation will do. What amazes me, Max Kellerman, is I'm blown away how you spent 4 years knowing those examples. It's not like those examples just happened. Every example you used was decades old. You had all of this information for 4 years ago. 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, and
do you have an answer to the question or not?
Not only would you not admit it, you wouldn't even take the moment to acknowledge those very examples you've just educated America about. You educated America with those.
I don't see my name anywhere in the question.
I find that just amazing. The answer to the question is I'm not taking Tom Brady seriously, but I just had to get that out because since I've had to sit across from you for 4 years dealing with this, I'll be damned if I'm going to rush getting to the answer without making that point, Max. I'm going to make that point. I had to deal with you for 4 years. Okay.
So why aren't you taking it seriously?
Now let's say this. Tom Brady, I don't believe, should be taken seriously for this one reason and the only reason. Him being the stationary target, he was only sacked 21 times this year. But people recognizing the fact that he's not the same, once you get pressure on him and you put a hat on him, it's one thing to do it and take it at 43. We know as we age, it doesn't just, creep up on us. I mean, it smacks us, okay? It pimp slaps us. That's what it does.
It's like a cliff?
It's like, damn, you just wake up one day and it's like, it's over. I'm just not that dude anymore. He turns 44 August 3rd. Then he'll go to another season. He'll be 45 2 seasons from now. I think that's quite enough. And I think that, if he's got a chance to get a Super Bowl, obviously, but I just think that it's too much to expect. I'm not talking about his game, his arm strength, his accuracy, his ability to play the quarterback position. I'm talking about his ability to take those hits for the next 2 years. I think that's going to be about all. This season, next season, I don't even know if he'll go to 45, let alone go past 45.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Stephen A. Listen, I thought about Tom Brady when he first signed with Tampa Bay. I said, this is the last one. This is the swan song. He's stacking the team to get his walk-off coordination started. I'm not sure if they win the Super Bowl, I'm not sure if he comes back and tries to chase another one. But beyond that, like next year, I believe is the last year of the contract, year of the deal. So Tom Brady has already pretty much accomplished what he came to Tampa to accomplish, right? Like the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl is a cherry on top. He already took a team that had a playoff drought, took them through the NFC, had to play 3 games to get into a championship game, and now they're here in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs. And oh, by the way, he beat Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers on his way there. So look, Tom Brady did what he had to do in Tampa. I think this sped up the timeline. If they get a Super Bowl, I think we're going to talk about the offseason with the potential of Tom Brady saying, I'm done. I came here. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. There's nothing further left for me to do. I'm here in Florida already. I might chill and take vacation. Or he comes back another season and try to compound it. We're going to another Super Bowl. But the bottom line is this, man. We having a conversation about oddity right now. Like 45, we having a talk about a quarterback playing until he's 45 years old. The other greatest feat that I saw in the NFL was Jerry Rice playing into his 40s and still been able to do what he did at wide receiver. I thought Terrell Owens had a chance to play until his 40s with the way he kept himself up and kept in shape. So I get it. I see the longevity, and it's good for us to talk about it going beyond that point. But 45 would be the number because I believe next year will be his last year no matter what. Even if they win this Super Bowl, obviously talking about that and him not coming back. But next year is the end of the deal. It's another $25 million that he gonna get, and then he'll walk away off in the sunset. But I'm with you too, Stephen A. Like, Max, you should have said all of that a couple years ago, man. Like, you just talked about Bernard Hopkins.
No,
and you
now
say
this
football
is why.
is a contact sport. Last time I checked, boxing is too.
This is why, Stephen A., I can't take seriously you saying you can't take me seriously when you don't make a serious argument. You literally sat there just now and said my argument was ridiculous and then made the exact same argument. You made the cliff argument.
No, I didn't,
said he's going to fall off the cliff eventually. He's going to wake up one day. You just said he's going to wake up. You said he's going to wake up one day and not have it anymore.
No, I said it was ridiculous coming from you. I didn't say your argument was ridiculous.
No,
I said it was ridiculous coming from you.
But then you said that he's going to wake up one day and just not have it anymore. In other words, there's a cliff. And you're determining that I did it prematurely. And there were examples from other sports that should have been illustrative. They should have illustrated the fact, showed an example that you can shatter the record. And that's true. Bernard Hopkins and Nolan Ryan were great athletes way later than they were supposed to be. But I'm just supposed to assume that's going to be Tom Brady years ago? I don't care how he took care of himself, but lots of quarterbacks took care of himself.
Hold on, Swagoo. I got this. First of all, Max. See, this is the hazard that you have. See, even though you go on these soliloquies and try to act all cerebral and intellectual, when people actually listen to you, they get to compartmentalize what you say. What I was saying about what you said was all of those things, Hopkins, Nolan Ryan, and others, you could have spent any time within the last 4 years making that exact argument. You didn't. You hit it.
Wait a minute.
You didn't say anything
Wait
for
a
4
minute.
years.
That's
And then you
because-
come out here this morning and you give shining examples of
That's
how
because-
Tom Brady could have defied logic.
Before you get to comparing an athlete to other sports, he's got to break the record in his own sport first. Tom Brady wasn't at an unprecedented age when I said that. He was 40 years old. There had been other 40-year-old quarterbacks who did it. But the 18 months that I said, which covered 2 seasons, would put him at 42. And that had never been done before in football. Now that he's 43 and he shattered that record, there's no longer anyone in football to look at. So you start to look at other world-class athletes who didn't play football. Is that hard to understand?
No, it's very hard to understand coming from you. It's an idiotic argument. But go ahead, Swaggle. I'll get back to it.
Max, you know I love you, brother. And you know that me and you see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. But this one, dude, listen, the examples that you brought up, it's based in you prematurely talking about Tom Brady being done. You're the only one that said that, Max. That's the point that you miss every time we get to it. You're the only guy that was saying Tom Brady was done. You. So when you bring these examples, to everybody else, it just puts holes in your argument. Because you had evidence that it could be
except that
done.
I didn't say he was
but
done.
You predicted and
I didn't.
You said
Max, you called
the
him a
cliff
bum and
is
then
here.
apologized for calling him a bum.
You said he was bad, Max.
What
you said? That.
What I said was he would be done in short order, which I defined as 18 months, carrying him through the following 2 seasons. Then he was on a Patriots team with no weapons. And it looked to me like he was no longer elite, still an NFL quarterback. I never said he wasn't an NFL quarterback. And now he's playing very well on a loaded team. And I admitted that he defied the prediction. So what's the problem?
But the problem is that your evidence of him trending towards a cliff, nobody else saw it. Nobody else saw it through his play. That's where you formulated your argument, was based on Tom Brady's play. He's falling off a cliff. He'll be done. It's soon. And everybody else was like, I don't see it. Tom Brady's still playing well. They still 12-4. He wasn't tearing up he wasn't tearing up the league, but he was still playing as a top starter in the league.
The only reason we can see Max started, for those of the American people watching this show every morning, Max started on July 25th, 2016. That would be 4.5 years. Even taking into account your 18-month prognostication that you're throwing out there, that still leaves 3 years. 3 years that you've been talking about Tom Brady being done, even though the evidence obviously was to the contrary. And then this morning, the reason why we're getting on you is because this morning, what we're trying to say is give you the 18 months, even giving you the 18 months. You still had 3 years to bring up all the points that you brought up this morning about Bernard Hopkins and the Nolan Ryans of the world and others, and you refused to do it. You wouldn't even give us a oops or a whoops. You wouldn't even do that.
Hold on. The 18 months covered 2 seasons. The third season, I admitted, okay, fine. He's at the outer edge. He did it. He defied the cliff prediction. He's still pretty good. However, it was the lowest scoring Super Bowl in history. And then last year, they won 12 games but got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, and Brady didn't have a good year. So it seemed to me, especially since he was missing receivers a lot, that he was no longer elite. After this season, there's no way to argue that. Whether or not he's aided by a loaded team is beside the point. He had a great season. So I don't understand. If you're asking me, do I think he can continue this until he's 45, it is possible.
We're going to drop it. I'm going to help you out, Max, because I'm going to help you out here. We're going to drop the subject because the more you talk, the more you are embarrassing yourself. We're going to drop the subject. Let's move on, Molly. Let's look out for Max because Max ain't helping himself. Max is putting himself over a damn
should
cliff.
it be taken seriously? My answer is yes.
And
Your answer is no.
This
just for the record.
Molly, take
all
it away.
I know is, Max, you should stop eating shade vegetables, all right? We all want the life like Tom Brady has. We'll leave it right there, guys.
The teal outfit is slamming. I'm just
Thank
wanting
you.
to say that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Let's move on from Max.
Guys, up next, we will. Can we get to the quarterback that Brady knocked